I stood in the rain, staring at my own front door like a stranger. The keypad blinked red, access denied. My hands shook as I read her text again. It's time you two found your own place. I've changed the codes. Your things will be outside tomorrow. Thanks for understanding. Valerie, thanks for understanding. 8 years of rent-free living in our house, and she was thanking me for understanding as she locked me out of my own home. My wife Emma stood beside me, her face pale with shock. She can't do this, she whispered. This is our house. We have the deed, the mortgage, everything. But Valerie could, and she had. And as the rain soaked through my jacket, I smiled. Because Valerie had just made the biggest mistake of her life. She didn't know about Marcus Chun, the city housing inspector who'd become one of my closest friends. She didn't know about the photos I'd been taking for years. And she definitely didn't know about the file I'd been building, waiting for exactly this moment. Let me back up 8 years. Emma and I had just bought our first house. A 1960s colonial that needed work, but had good bones. We were young, eager, and broke from the down payment. That's when Valerie showed up at our door with 2 suitcases and tears streaming down her face. Brad cheated on me, she'd sobbed into Emma's shoulder. With my best friend. I just need somewhere to stay for a couple weeks while I figure things out. Emma had looked at me with those pleading eyes. What could I say? She was family. We set her up in the guest room, told her to take all the time she needed. 2 weeks became a month. A month became 6. By the time a year had passed, Valerie had redecorated the guest room, installed a mini fridge, and started receiving mail at our address. I'm looking for places, she'd say whenever we brought it up. The market's just crazy right now. And you know my salary at the boutique isn't much. Emma felt guilty. Valerie was her little sister, the one she'd practically raised after their mom died. So we let it slide. Year after year, excuse after excuse. But Valerie wasn't just living with us. She was taking over. First, it was small things. She'd rearranged the living room furniture because it flowed better. She painted the kitchen cabinets without asking because they were depressing. She converted half the garage into her art studio for a jewelry business that never materialized. Then came the renovations. I know this contractor, she'd said. He can update the basement bathroom for practically nothing. My treat. Except the contractor was unlicensed. The plumbing was wrong. The electrical wasn't up to code. When I pointed this out, Valerie waved me off. Don't be such a worrywart, James. It looks great. She did the same thing with the deck, the attic conversion, the workshop she built in the backyard. Always using friends who could do it cheap. Always cutting corners. Always dismissing my concerns. I started documenting everything 3 years ago, after she nearly burned the house down with faulty wiring in her meditation room, formerly our office. Pictures, receipts, text messages where she admitted to hiring unlicensed workers. I wasn't planning anything. I just wanted evidence in case something went seriously wrong. That's also when I met Marcus at a neighborhood barbecue. He'd just started as a city inspector, fresh out of training and eager to make a difference. We bonded over craft beer and horror stories about home repairs. When I mentioned some of the work Valerie had done, his eyes went wide. Man, that could be serious. If you ever need me to take a look, just say the word. Off the record, of course. I'd laughed it off then, but I kept his number. Meanwhile, Valerie grew bolder. She started calling it our house when talking to friends. She'd introduce herself to neighbors as the homeowner. She even tried to claim the home office tax deduction on her taxes, listing our address as her property. Emma and I fought about it constantly. She's family, Emma would say. She's been through so much. She's a parasite, I'd respond. And she's destroying our house. You're being dramatic. She installed a hot tub without permits. The foundation is cracking. But Emma couldn't see it. Valerie was still her little sister who needed protection. Even when Valerie started bringing home boyfriends who'd stay for weeks. Even when she adopted 3 cats without asking, I'm allergic. Even when she threw parties while we were at work, leaving the house trashed. The breaking point came 6 months ago. Emma's father passed away suddenly, leaving her a small inheritance. That night, Valerie sat us down for a family meeting. I've been thinking, she said. I've put so much work into this house. The renovations, the decorating, the landscaping. It's really increased the value. I think it's only fair that I be added to the deed. As a partial owner. I laughed, thinking it was a joke. It wasn't. You've been living here rent-free for 7.5 years, I said. We've never asked for a penny. And now you want us to give you part of our house. Valerie's face hardened. I've invested my time and money into this property. I have rights. You have no rights, I said. You're a guest who's overstayed her welcome. She stood up, shaking. We'll see about that. From that day, the atmosphere turned poisonous. Valerie stopped speaking to me entirely. She'd whisper with Emma when I wasn't around, playing the victim. She started locking her door, treating us like intruders in our own home. I consulted a lawyer. Evicting family was complicated, especially after so long. We'd need to go through formal procedures, which could take months and destroy Emma's relationship with her sister. Emma begged me to wait, to let her handle it. So I waited, and documented, and planned. Then yesterday happened. Emma and I had gone to work like normal. I got the text at 2 p.m., followed by a notification that our smart lock code had been changed. I called Emma immediately. She changed the locks, I said. What? She can't do that. Check your texts. I heard Emma gasp. Then cry. Then something I'd never heard before, pure rage. That bitch, she whispered. That absolute bitch. We met at home. Valerie's car was in the driveway, my spot, of course. Music blasted from inside. Through the window, I could see her dancing with a glass of wine. Our wine. That's when I called Marcus. Hey buddy, I said. Remember that offer to look at my house? I think now's the time. Everything okay? My sister-in-law locked us out. She's claiming the house is hers. She what? That's not how property law works. I know. But here's the thing. She's done about 50 unpermitted renovations. Electrical, plumbing, structural. I have documentation of everything. Marcus was quiet for a moment. This is an emergency habitability inspection situation. If you're locked out of your legal residence, and there are potential safety violations, I can be there in an hour. Officially. While we waited, I pulled up my file on my phone. 8 years of evidence. Photos of exposed wiring, crumbling deck supports, the hot tub slowly sinking into the ground. Text messages where Valerie admitted to hiring some guy from Craigslist for electrical work. Videos of the ceiling leak she'd fixed with duct tape. Marcus arrived with 2 other inspectors and a police officer. The officer knocked on the door. Valerie answered in a silk robe, wine glass still in hand. Yes, ma'am, we have a report that the legal homeowners have been locked out of their property. Her face went white. There must be a mistake. This is my house. I stepped forward with our deed, mortgage statements, and ID. No, Valerie. It's not. What followed was beautiful chaos. Valerie tried to refuse entry, but the officer explained that as we were the legal owners, we could authorize the inspection. Marcus and his team went through the house like bloodhounds. The violations came fast and furious. Illegal electrical work in 4 rooms. Plumbing not up to code in 2 bathrooms. Unpermitted additions. Structural damage from the hot tub. Asbestos disturbed in the attic. Lead paint improperly removed. Fire hazards. Carbon monoxide risks. Stop! Valerie screamed. I made this house beautiful. I improved it. You made it a death trap, Marcus said, showing her his tablet. I'm counting 47 violations so far. This house is officially condemned until repairs are made. Condemned? Emma gasped. Don't worry, Marcus said quietly to us. It's all fixable, but it'll take a few weeks and proper contractors. You'll need to stay elsewhere. Then he turned to Valerie. As for you, occupying a condemned building is a criminal offense. You have 1 hour to gather essential belongings and vacate. Where am I supposed to go? She shrieked. That's not my problem, I said. Maybe try a hotel. For 2 weeks. The police officer supervised as Valerie frantically packed. She tried to take furniture, claiming she'd bought it. I had receipts proving otherwise. She tried to take the TV, the kitchen appliances, even the curtains. Each time, I had proof they were ours. In the end, she left with her clothes, her cats, and her original 2 suitcases. As she loaded her car, she turned to Emma with tears in her eyes. How could you do this to me? I'm your sister. Emma stepped forward, and for a moment I thought she might cave. Instead, she said, a sister wouldn't steal. A sister wouldn't lie. A sister wouldn't try to take everything we worked for. You're not my sister. You're just someone I used to know. Valerie drove off, tires screeching. That night, Emma and I stayed in a hotel, ordering room service, and actually laughing for the first time in months. I'm sorry, Emma said. I should have listened. I kept seeing the little girl who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms. That little girl grew up into a con artist, I said gently. But it's over now. Except it wasn't quite over. The next morning, Valerie started her campaign. She posted on social media about being thrown out on the street by cruel family. She called Emma's work, claiming it was an emergency. She showed up at my office, making a scene until security removed her. Then she made her fatal mistake. She called the city, reporting us for illegally evicting a tenant. She claimed she'd been paying rent, that she had tenant rights, that we'd changed the locks on her. The city investigated and found no rental agreement, no history of rent payments, no evidence she was ever more than a guest. A condemned house full of violations she'd admitted to causing. My 8 years of documentation. Not only was her claim dismissed, but she was charged with filing a false report. The city attorney also noticed something interesting in her social media posts. She'd been advertising the house on Airbnb as her property, collecting money for weekend rentals when we were out of town. Fraud charges were added to the pile. Meanwhile, we hired licensed contractors to fix everything. The total cost? $73,000. Our insurance covered some, but they're going after Valerie for the rest. She's also facing fines from the city for every violation, nearly $30,000 total. Last I heard, she was living in her car, couch surfing when possible. Her boutique job barely covers her car payment, let alone legal fees and fines. She still texts Emma occasionally, alternating between apologies and threats. We've blocked her on everything. The house is better than ever now. Properly renovated, up to code, actually safe to live in. Emma converted Valerie's room back into a guest room, but we both laughed when she said, "Maybe we should get a hotel list to give visitors. 2-week maximum." Marcus and his wife come over for dinner sometimes. He likes to joke that our house gave him the most interesting inspection report of his career. 47 violations, he'll say, shaking his head. In 8 years, she turned your house into a case study for what not to do. But the best part? The absolute best part? Last week, I ran into one of Valerie's ex-boyfriends at the grocery store. He told me she'd tried to move in with him, claiming she'd been illegally evicted and needed, just 2 weeks, to get back on her feet. He'd Googled her name and found the news articles about the fraud charges. I told her I don't have room, he said. Funny thing is, she's apparently told the same story to 6 different people. Nobody's buying it anymore. 2 weeks. It always starts with 2 weeks. But Valerie's 2 weeks are finally up. And she's never getting them back. The house is quiet now. Peaceful. Emma and I have breakfast on the deck Valerie ruined. Now properly rebuilt with permits and proper foundations. We laugh about things that used to start fights. We're saving money without someone running up our utility bills and stealing our groceries. Sometimes I think about that text. It's time you two found your own place. Turns out we never left. We were home all along. We just had to take out the trash first. And if Valerie ever tries to come back, well, I've got Marcus on speed dial. And a new door code she'll never guess. The end.